Welcome to another episode of Capital View. Thanks for coming, ladies.
Thanks for having us,
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Let's chat. So, I find myself multitasking day in and day out. So I have a little bit of a strategy, and I want to talk to you about what your strategy is for getting everything done that you have to get done during the day. So tell me about it.
Well, one of the things that I do is I create a list the night before. I look at my calendar, I find out what's important, and also I allocate a certain amount of time that I'm going to fulfill that task. And so when life happens and causes interruptions, at least it helps me to stay on track with what I need to do for the day.
Yeah. I don't usually get quite as detailed as Colette. I usually pick a few things the night before or that morning and really think about what I want to get done that day. And that helps me at least fulfill those specific goals, and then I always know that there's going to be more things put on my plate, and I just have to try and work those in. Sometimes when I get really overwhelmed, however, I will sit down with a notebook paper and just write it down. It takes it off, and then I can refer to it later.
Yeah, I definitely prioritize as well. My list every single day, it seems to grow instead of get smaller, but I'm a morning person, so sometimes the things that I can allocate a certain block of time to, that's done before the phone start ringing or the email starts hopping, before business hours.
I think that that's true. I mean, I do the same thing. So the night before, I look at my calendar and I get that whole list, and of course I take the things that didn't happen the day before and I put them on the next day, and you start off and you look at those things. But honestly, and I'm sure this happens to you, the day starts and you have the best of intentions with this list that you're going to check these things off, and then people start knocking on your door and the phone starts ringing and these emails need to get done, plus you need to finish this. So are you able to go back and forth, or do you really need to I'm pretty good at, this thing, then this thing, and then revert back and go to this, but not everybody can do that. How do you guys handle it?
I think it's necessary, in these days, because, we have clients and they expect a call back. If you don't answer the phone, they expect an email within so much time. So even though the best time management experts would tell you to block off your time for all of these things, society these days, I just don't think that you can. You have to be super responsive.
I think it's almost impossible to a certain extent to really regiment your day like that. At least it is in my business.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and with clients' expectations, when you're not meeting that, it causes them to question whether you're really the business for them to fulfill some of their needs. That said, what I do, for example, this morning, I was sending out emails at 6 o'clock. Right. So my day starts pretty early, so that affords me some wiggle room when I do need to respond more immediately to some situations. At least I know I've gotten those kinds of things out of the way that have been pre-planned, so to speak.
I think it's interesting because, there are things that you can kind of put off to the end of the day, but do you ever feel like you just are sort of like robo through everything and trying to get to things so quickly that sometimes, I was thinking about that a little bit today where, I was responding to a lot of emails, and then you have that moment of panic where, did I send the wrong message to this person? And I think that sometimes you do have to just step back and not multitask and so much, because you could really mess something up. And you're with the law. You have to be thinking about exactly what you're responding to.
And sometimes during at the end of my day, I have to just shut it down, because mentally, if I'm exhausted and I'm still trying to multitask and get to all these people who need my attention, it's more important to me to make sure that when I do respond to them, it's correct. So sometimes I just have to step back, do something for myself, and come back to it a little bit later. Realize I'm not Superwoman sometimes, even though I'd like to be.
Are there some things that you have, thought about delegating that you eventually say, if I want this done right, I'm going to have to take that back and do it myself? Do you ever have those moments when you're going through your day, or?
My biggest thing is planning my calendar. I like to have full control of that because I know where I want to be on given days and so forth. But I'm at a point now where I have to give it to somebody else. I need somebody to manage me, that part of me anyway, because it's not working out. I'm beginning to make some mistakes. I'm placing appointments on one calendar but not another, so not syncing the calendars as it were. So finding somebody that I can rely on to manage my time would be really excellent.
To be the better assistant.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a great team, so I've really found that delegating, copying people on all the emails so that if I can't respond right away, our team does. So I feel really lucky to have that at the office. But I will absolutely echo the different calendars, the different technological devices that we have. Sometimes that has not been a benefit for me.
I always try to keep one, I mean, in order to keep it simple. And I try to give things up sometimes. You know, I think I need to probably a little more often than I do, but I think it's important. You've got to find people who you can trust, who you can give things to, or you're going to go crazy. And maybe it's not done just as you would do it, but you need to find the value in maybe how the other person has done it as well.
So if you could give one thing up, I was at this conference recently and they said, you know, pretend like you have to give one thing up forever, so that you could gain back some time to put into something that's more important. What would that thing be? And it doesn't have to be just at work. It could be, hey, the laundry.
Ironing, putting away the laundry. Those are my two.
If you could give that up forever, give it to someone else.
Yeah. Well, for me, thinking of work, it would be blogging. I am very particular with how I want things conveyed, and I've gotten to the point for that as well where I need to delegate that. I need to hire somebody to write my blogs for me, but finding the right person to use my voice. And so there has to be that connection. They have to know my style. They have to know how I use words and so forth. So, but on the personal side, yeah, it would definitely be laundry. And that and grocery shopping.
Oh, I like grocery shopping.
I do too.
Actually. But on my professional side, I would say debits and credits. So I get out of the transactions for the most part, and I really appreciate that. Every once in a while, of course, I need to understand them. I need to be in there. But if I could never see or have to do a debit and credit again, I'd be happy. It's unusual for a CPA to say, right?
Right. So laundry was your home thing, huh?
Yeah, laundry.
I don't do the laundry at my house, so that I wouldn't need to give that up, but I definitely, housework is not my favorite thing to do, for sure. But at the office, I can't, you know, I've really given up almost everything that I don't want to do. And so I'm pretty lucky that way. And I am pretty hands-on, though. I like to be involved in something and then just kind of hand it off and know and trust that my team can really make that happen. So you guys are pretty good at giving up things when you need to.
No, I'm not at all.
No, okay. Because from that, I heard you guys say that you could really do that.
I'm still trying to figure it out too. Sometimes I give things away and then I'm like, oh, you know, I should have just done that one on my own. And then other times I've delegated something to someone else and I've really been surprised at the work that came back and really excited about it, and it feels good, you know. But I'm still trying to figure it out too. Well, you know, what can I give away? If I figure it out, I'll let everybody know, and I will make sure that it is given away, because it's hard to you know, figure out what that is.
I think I give a lot away. My biggest challenge in doing that is communication. So do I over-communicate expectations and kind of the process, or do I under-communicate? If it's somebody that really I should be empowering, they want to figure out their own path, and I don't want to micromanage that. So that's my biggest challenge when delegating.
That would be my biggest problem. I know I would micromanage. And that's something I need to work on with me, because I tend to be a perfectionist. I know how I want certain things done. So I have to work on me before I actually start this process of delegating.
I think that's fun. One of the things that I like to delegate are things at home. How does that work for you? I mean, I'm willing to give almost anything away. The grocery shopping, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to get rid of that. We moved into a condo because I was tired of the yard work.
Yeah.
I don't want yard work. I don't want any of that. So what are you guys giving up at home?
Well, for
me, and to who?
For me, my husband is really good at helping to keep the home nice and clean in the whole 9 yards. And we have a gardener that we hired to keep the landscaping the way it's supposed to look. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm one of those people out there with a ruler making sure the blades of grass are the same height. And I told you there are some things I need to work on. And so we're good in that regard. And but he's really helpful to make sure that the house hums the way that it's supposed to. Neither of us are cooks, so we order out quite a bit, or we eat out quite a bit.
Well,
so
I bet we
got
all
that managed.
We all do that every now and
Yeah.
then, don't we? Well, thanks for watching. We are going to go to a few viewpoints. Hope you enjoy them. See you soon. Today I'm here with April from MSU FCU, and we're going to talk about how you develop future leaders in your company. Thanks for being here, April.
Thank you.
I know you have a lot of employees. How many do you have, in fact?
794, including interns.
A lot of folks.
Yes.
So developing people is really an important part of your business. Tell me a little bit about your training structure.
Absolutely. We believe as much as possible to promote from within. And what that means to us is providing knowledge, training, resources, development, so you can be successful in whatever you would like to achieve promoted from within. So if you would like to be a manager, we have courses on pre-management, leadership, management development. Some of those are hosted internally, where our executives share their experiences. Right. And then we also hire external management training companies to come in and conduct very thoughtful, conversations, how to engage others, how to lead, how to mentor and coach, and really work with other employees.
So if you were going to give advice to other companies out there, maybe some that are not as large as yours, what types of things would you tell them to focus in on to help with the leadership in their companies?
Well, there are a variety of ways that you can prepare leaders. If you have internal resources, the best thing that we do is we give people mentors. And we utilize our executive team to mentor future managers. And they have the opportunity to spend time with them. We define what that time is and make sure that we make that commitment, that we live up to it. We also, in our community, we have great resources. So our future leaders have participated in Leadership Lansing, and that's another area that is a reasonable experience to put someone through.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And that's been another Capitol View. Today I'm here with Joe Campbell from LaughQ, and we're going to talk a little bit about how businesses can utilize their loan products. Thanks so much for being here, Joe.
My pleasure.
So help me understand how you, as a credit union, would help businesses with their loans.
Well, we like to look at the needs of the businesses, whether it be lines of credit or equipment, or if they're looking to purchase a building or looking to grow in whatever avenue, we're here to help. We do whatever we can to try to meet those needs.
So does a business have to have a long-standing role within your organization?
No, we're always looking for new membership and new opportunities. Obviously, first and foremost, we're there to help our membership, but obviously we want to grow as a credit union here in the area and serve as many needs as we possibly can.
So from a loan standpoint and line of credit, are you looking at different sizes in terms of, can someone come in and ask for as much as they need?
No, for instance, I talked to a group earlier today, and they're looking for $50,000 for just a little quick injection, to get them through the holidays. And then another gentleman who wanted to buy an apartment complex for $3 million. So whatever their needs are, we're here to help, large and small.
I think that that's really great. And so if someone does need this type of loan, do they come to you or do they go online? How does that process work?
I prefer that they do come to me because, I was in business myself for a number of years, and I like to sit down with that business member and really understand what they're trying to accomplish. And from the experience, we can help them kind of walk them through the process and make them feel comfortable and meet their needs.
I think that's really great. Thank you so much for the information. And that's been another Capitol View. Today I'm here with Carrie Freeman, partner at Grua, Tupper and Young Law Firm. Thanks for being here, Carrie.
Thanks, Tiffany.
So tell me a little bit about why you think it's important for everyone to have an estate plan.
I think it is so important for everybody to have an estate plan, young or in the later years of your life. You know, people work so hard for their assets, and they want to make sure that those things are going to be there in order to pass on to their family, to make sure that their family is well and supported after they're gone. And just doing a little bit of estate planning can preserve that wealth and make sure that it's passed on appropriately. Estate planning is also very important to assist people when they're living. People become incapacitated, they're unable to take care of their affairs while they're living, and estate planning will also address those issues and make sure that people are taken care of and secure while they're living.
So you said that somebody could do this or should do this maybe when they're younger. How often should they reevaluate their estate plan, do you think?
A good time to really look at your estate plan is one, if you don't have one. It's always great to have at least certain basic documents in place. And if you do have an estate plan, it's a great time when you have a major life event. If there's a divorce, a birth, a marriage, you know, something like that that changes your family dynamic, it's a perfect time to just call your lawyer up and just say, hey, you know, I had this major change. Can you take a look at what I have and just make sure it all is appropriate?
Now, usually this doesn't take that long, right? Somebody might think it may take forever to put something like this together, but it may not be that big of a process.
It really doesn't. You know, if you come to my office, especially if you're going on a trip or something, we really try to accommodate you quickly. But for the most part, the process, you know, can take about 3 weeks to 4 weeks.
Thank you so much. And that's been another Capitol View. Today I'm here with Shelley from LaughQ, and we're going to talk about loans. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tiffany.
So, obviously, most everyone has a loan of some type. Is there a time that you would recommend people, a time of year that we would go to get a loan or a home equity loan or a mortgage or any other type of
Sure.
loan
Well, as it
product?
relates to mortgages and home equities, right now.
Right
Do
now.
it now. Drop everything and go get it. Really, rates are at near historic lows for mortgages. So if you're considering refinancing your house or purchasing a house, now is the time to do it with LaughQ, of course.
Of course, of course. So is the process difficult? If someone is deciding, okay, I am going to drop everything, what is the first step?
The first step is to come get pre-approved with us. It's free, it's very easy. That way you can go to your realtor and say, here's my budget, here's what I'm approved for, so you can get into the house of your dreams.
I think that that's great. So if someone says, I just want to understand more, do you have a lot of information on your website?
We do. We have information on our website, and we invite anyone to come into any of our offices.
That's great.
If we don't have a mortgage officer in our office, we can actually video conference you in with someone at one of our other locations.
Oh, technology.
Yes, absolutely. We want to make sure that our members and prospective members are getting the information they need to get into the home that they want.
So if someone is thinking about a mortgage, home loan, do they need to consider a certain amount of documents? Do they have to bring something into you?
Yeah, we'll let them know everything they need. I would start with a pre-approval, and again, you can come into one of our locations or you can go online and start that process. As we get further into it, we'll let you know what you need to bring.
That's great. Thank you so much. And that's been another Capitol View. I'm here with Ann Kraft and Tamara Bayshore Berg, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we're trying to raise literacy rates. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Thank you.
So Tamara, you are working with the Department of Education. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, part of my role with the Department of Education is to work on a grant to raise literacy rates throughout the state of Michigan by adopting and implementing new literacy standards for teachers to use in the classroom. And so we are working diligently to both train teachers, train literacy coaches, and build professional development to support that.
Interesting.
How do the new literacy standards actually translate to higher literacy rates?
These literacy essentials, or standards, so to speak, are really some basic tools that every teacher, pre-K through third grade, should have in their toolkit to really help reach all students, no matter where they are. It's to help kids gain literacy skills more rapidly, because Michigan is really struggling in the literacy arena.
That's too bad. It really is sad to think about that. So, Anne, tell me how Michigan Virtual is involved and how they're helping.
Well, we have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different organizations to create these modules for teacher training and to host those on our professional learning portal. So Tamara's been working, tell us about the partners that we've been working with there.
We've been working with actually 27 intermediate school districts or regional service agencies and 15 different educational agency partners to both really develop those literacy essentials and then ensure that all teachers are trained and have those tools in their toolkit.
That's wonderful. Here's hoping that literacy rates rise here in Michigan. Thanks so much for the information. And that's been another Capitol View. Today I'm here with Tim Young, attorney with Gruett, Tupper & Young, and we're going to talk about divorcing a difficult person. That never happens, right, Tim?
Hardly ever.
Right. So how do you, as an attorney, talk to someone who has obviously gone through a really challenging time, they're getting divorced, and they have a list of grievances that they want to work through?
Well, it's important to understand that when people are divorcing, usually there's a reason for that, and that's because both or one perceives the other as a difficult person to live with. It's important to understand that when the court is looking to divide the marital estate, that has very little to do with how the property is to be divided. The courts have said that generally there is to be congruity or equality in how property would be divided. There are some circumstances when there might be a reason to not divide it equally, but just because you're a terrible person doesn't mean that that person is not going to get a near equal share of the marital estate.
So it's 50-50. There could be some circumstances that you could maybe get more if there were extenuating circumstances.
That's correct. If there's an addiction issue, or there's gambling, or there's a spending of money on a third party not in the marriage, those monies can be reimbursed to the other party, but generally speaking, it is an equal division of the property. And the court does look at other factors, but I think you should depend on it or rely on it being 50-50.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And that's been another Capitol View. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed those viewpoints as much as I did. We're going to talk a little bit about dreams now. All right, ladies, we're all in business. We've been in business for a while. We've had dreams and aspirations. I know I have, and it's changed a little bit over time. So tell me a little bit about how your dream started and kind of how it's morphed over the years as you've gotten a little more empowered in your world.
I don't know that I ever had a dream to own my own firm or even be a lawyer, to be honest with you. But growing up, and I realized I like to help. I like to help people. That was the role in my family, was kind of a peacemaker. And my father was an attorney, and I thought, you know, this was a direction where I could go, where I could really be helpful. What exactly I would do with that, I wasn't really sure. But that has always been kind of my motivation.
Yeah, that's great.
So mine doesn't sound nearly as altruistic as that. When I was little, I always wanted to wear a suit when I grew up. So I had to find a business profession, right? That was my dream as a little girl, which sounds really silly, but it has worked. I certainly always loved to help people and give back and things like that, and I think that's helped contribute to why I stayed with public accounting, because you can do that in many different ways.
Yeah. When I was small, I always wanted to accommodate people, and even now. So when my parents would have dinner parties and those kinds of things, I was the one who was always making sure there were enough this, that, and the other plates and what have you. It was just fun to me. And then when I became a wealth advisor, so much of what I did over and above investing at consultation was providing that accommodation of, you know, are you satisfied? How can I make things better for you. And so now that I have my own business as, you know, a customer service and business etiquette coach and trainer, it has just expanded all the more. So it's just morphed into what I ultimately, I guess, wanted to do as a kid.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be a writer. So I've always had, you know, that, you know, idea I was going to be a journalist, and I wanted to work for Time magazine. And, you know, as time went on, it really just became more of the, you know, writing was the most important piece of it. So as I, you know, transitioned over the years and I realized that I couldn't buy beautiful shoes on a reporter's salary, I decided to, you know, go into the corporate writing, which was really great and very fun and has, you know, sort of kept me moving since then. But I think that it's very interesting because I believe that everything I've ever done has led to this point. And even though I'm like you, I really didn't have a desire to own a business, I think that, you know, now I can see why it makes sense for me, which, you know, I think kind of goes into, you know, what's the meaning, right? Why do you do the things that you do? And you had mentioned, I think, where it's like you wanted to help people, and that's really was the driver for what you're doing. Has that changed over the years in terms of, you know, you thought about, you know, I want to help people, and you do. Obviously, we all help people in our businesses, but how do you get that meaning and really just kind of reflect on why it is you do the things you do, from, you know, volunteering to the work that you do every day? And by the way, Sarah, you look wonderful in a suit, so that worked out for you. So what's your why? Let's go into that a little bit.
I think for me, my why is really helping businesses and organizations be able to do what they do better. And you don't think about accounting. I know maybe 5 years ago I was at a session and we were talking about personal vision statements and mission statements and why, really what you do, why you do what you do. And it was difficult for me at that time because I said, I'm an accountant. You know, what can accountants do? I don't help, I don't do good, I don't give back, which you do outside, but when you really just think about your profession, it was difficult for me. So I think that thinking about it bigger than that, our firm does all the back end so that they can go fulfill their mission and they can go, you know, do the great work that they do.
Yeah. For me, and I'll keep it on the professional level, I feel that every consumer is entitled to the best service, whether they're actually purchasing, whether they're online just browsing. I think that it's important to get back that notion of red carpet service. Customer service has changed 180 degrees, and we need to get back to where we were, even, you know, with a 21st century spin on it. And that is my why. To go out there and make sure that organizations understand it is possible, whether you're a CPA firm, whether you're a law firm, you know, an advertising and marketing firm, it is possible to deliver that internal and external superior service so that everybody wins. So win-win for everybody.
I agree with that. I have a lot of whys, and some of my why would be to really provide a great place for people to work, women specifically, men even, people who want to have a family but not have their career sacrificed. That's something that's really important to me. But I mean, the big picture is I like problem solving. I want people, to take a quote from my 5-year-old, to have a good life. He said that the other day. And I thought that's kind of who I am. Like, I have people present their issues to me every day and I just want to make it better. You know, so I think that goes into why I also want to create a work environment where people can have that same type of thing.
Well, I'm sure you guys all do that. Thanks for joining us today on Capitol View. We'll see you next time.